The night sky had always been a peaceful sight. People looked up to see stars shining, never thinking that something out there might be watching them back. For years, astronomers around the world studied the heavens, some hoping to find signs of life, others praying they never would. Then one quiet evening, everything changed. At the National Space Observatory, a small team was monitoring data from deep space telescopes. The computers began showing strange readings, massive objects moving in formation just beyond Jupiter's orbit. At first, the scientists thought it was an error. Maybe it was a glitch in the system or a strange asteroid cluster. But as the data kept repeating, they realized it was no mistake. These objects were moving too perfectly, too organized, too alive. News traveled fast. Within hours, major observatories across the planet confirmed it. Something enormous was heading toward Earth, and it wasn't natural. Governments were alerted, and military satellites were pointed toward the sky. Across every nation, fear quietly began to grow. The media picked up the story by morning. Every channel, every news site, every online feed carried the same headline: mysterious objects approaching Earth from deep space. Some said it was a new type of comet. Others claimed it was an alien fleet. Nobody could agree, but deep down everyone felt the same chilling thought. Humanity was no longer alone. In a control room filled with glowing monitors, Dr. Amelia Vaughn, one of the lead astrophysicists, stared at the latest scans. The objects were shaped like perfect triangles, each hundreds of kilometers wide. The energy readings were off the charts, more powerful than anything Earth had ever seen. Her colleague whispered, "Could this be a satellite formation from another country?" Amelia shook her head slowly. "No, nothing we have can move like that. These things are using some kind of advanced propulsion. No fuel trail, no heat signature, no slowdown." She leaned closer to the monitor and spoke almost to herself. "They're not from here." Within a week, the mysterious fleet drew closer. The world's major powers held secret meetings, but nothing stayed secret for long. The public demanded answers. Protests filled city streets. Some people prayed, others panicked. The internet was flooded with rumors. Theories about ancient prophecies, secret alien deals, and doomsday predictions. But above all the noise, the truth remained simple. Something was coming, and it was coming fast. The United Nations called an emergency session. Representatives from every major country sat together, something that had not happened peacefully in decades. A decision was made to form a single global task force called the Earth Defense Accord. It would unite all scientific and military resources to face whatever was approaching. Factories that once built cars began producing defense drones. Scientists who once competed against each other were now working side by side. The world had found a reason to unite, not through politics or money, but through survival. Dr. Vaughn was chosen to lead the scientific division. She worked day and night, analyzing the energy patterns of the approaching fleet. What she discovered made her heart race. "They're scanning us," she said in a meeting of top officials. "They're studying our planet, mapping our defense systems, and measuring our atmosphere. They're not exploring, they're preparing." The words hit the room like thunder. "Preparing for what?" one general asked, though everyone already knew the answer. Amelia took a breath. "For an invasion." Weeks passed and tension filled the air like static before a storm. People around the world tried to live normally, going to work, watching the news, pretending life was the same. But every time they looked up at the night sky, they wondered if someone up there was already watching them. Children drew pictures of spaceships in school. Farmers reported strange lights moving above their fields. Pilots saw glowing shapes hovering above clouds before disappearing into thin air. The governments tried to keep everyone calm, but fear was growing faster than any reassurance they could give. Then came the night when the world saw them. It started with a bright light streaking across the sky, far brighter than any shooting star. Then another and another until the whole sky shimmered with silver trails. People in every country ran outside, pointing their phones toward the heavens. Social media exploded. Live video showed enormous glowing shapes descending from the clouds. They were nothing like human ships, silent, smooth, and radiant as if made from liquid metal. The world gasped together. Within minutes, communication satellites began failing. Television signals flickered. Radio channels filled with static. City lights blinked out as power grids overloaded. The alien fleet had entered Earth's atmosphere. In the middle of the chaos, Dr. Vaughn sat in her lab surrounded by flickering screens. "They're disrupting our systems intentionally," she said, typing rapidly. "It's not an accident. They're shutting us down before they make contact." Her assistant looked at her nervously. "Do you think they'll talk to us first?" Amelia didn't answer. She just stared at the radar screen where dozens of bright dots, the alien ships, moved steadily toward major cities. The next day, world leaders broadcast a united message. Every language, every country, one voice. To those who come from the stars, we welcome peace. But if you bring harm, we will defend our home. It was humanity's first message to another world. Whether the visitors would listen, no one knew. For 3 long days, the alien ships hovered silently over the planet. One above New York, another above London, a third over Beijing. More appeared over oceans and deserts as if choosing their targets carefully. People stared up at them in awe. Some knelt and prayed. Others simply wept. The ships never moved, never attacked. They just hung there, shining like cold suns. The silence was worse than any war could have been. Finally, on the 4th day, a strange signal hit every communication device on Earth. Phones, televisions, and computers all turned on at once, broadcasting a voice, deep, metallic, and alien. It spoke in an unknown language at first, then slowly shifted to words humans could understand. The translation system struggled, but the message became clear enough. "This world now belongs to the royal dominion of Thraxion. Surrender your planet's control and resources. Resistance will bring annihilation." The message ended. The ships began to move again, spreading across the sky in precise formations. Inside command centers, generals shouted orders. Fighter jets were launched. Defense missiles were prepared. But deep down, everyone knew. No human weapon had ever faced something like this. Amelia stood at the window of her lab, watching one of the massive ships glide silently over the horizon. It was as large as a city, with strange glowing patterns across its surface. She could feel the ground vibrating even from miles away. She whispered softly, "They're not here to talk." All across the planet, a single feeling united humanity, fear mixed with determination. Nobody knew how to fight beings that had traveled across galaxies, but nobody wanted to give up either. Farmers, soldiers, scientists, and engineers worked together. The world that had always been divided by borders and beliefs suddenly became one. Every person understood that their survival depended not on their country or color or language, but on their courage. The alien ships positioned themselves strategically, hovering above power plants, military bases, and major cities. Strange beams of light extended downward, scanning everything below. Scientists recorded the readings and found that the beams were analyzing the Earth itself, soil, air, even human movement. It was as if the aliens were studying their prey before the hunt. Amelia gathered her team and spoke urgently. "They're mapping our world in real time. If we don't find a way to block those scans, they'll know exactly where to hit us." She looked at the screen showing the alien fleet's formation, hundreds of ships surrounding Earth like a ring. "This isn't just exploration," she said. "It's occupation." That night, the sky glowed faintly red. The alien fleet's engines shimmered like stars, and a low hum echoed across the atmosphere, so deep it could be felt in the bones. Children couldn't sleep. Animals went silent. The oceans themselves seemed to pulse with light. And somewhere out there, far beyond the moon, the alien king watched through the eyes of his ships. From his throne aboard the command vessel, he observed this small blue planet, its people running, hiding, preparing. In his mind, Earth was already his. But on the ground, in hidden bunkers and darkened labs, humans were preparing too, not to surrender, but to survive. And as the world held its breath, the greatest chapter in human history was about to begin. Far beyond the solar system, past frozen moons and burning suns, there was a world unlike anything humans could imagine. Its sky glowed dark red, filled with endless towers made of shining crystal. Rivers of energy flowed through the air instead of water on the ground. This was the heart of the Thraxian Empire, the most powerful civilization in the galaxy. At the center of it all stood the royal palace, a floating fortress that could be seen from orbit. Inside that fortress sat the ruler of countless worlds, King Orval Cthulhu. known among his people as the King of the Stars. He had ruled for thousands of years, his body strengthened by ancient science, his mind linked to an intelligence greater than any human could imagine. To him, other planets were not homes of life. They were trophies, resources to expand his dominion. When the first signals from Earth reached his empire, the broadcasts, the lights, the noise of human civilization, and the king grew curious. He watched videos of cities glowing at night, of humans walking, laughing, building, and fighting. He admired their ambition but despised their chaos. How can such fragile beings live without order? He asked his council. They consume, destroy, and yet they survive. Their world is rich. It belongs to those who deserve it. His council bowed before him. None dared to disagree. The king's word was law, and his decision was final. He raised his hand, and the great hall filled with a deep, metallic voice that echoed through every ship in his empire. "Prepare the royal fleet," he commanded. "We will take the blue world." The news spread quickly through the Thraxian Empire. Millions of soldiers and engineers went to work preparing the fleet, ships so large they could eclipse moons. Each one was built with precision and power, carrying weapons that could reshape landscapes. They believed no world could resist them. They had conquered dozens of planets before, and each victory was swift and absolute. The thought of defeat never crossed their minds. When the day of departure came, the king stood on a platform overlooking his fleet. Hundreds of ships hovered below him, glowing like stars. He stretched out his hand toward the distant image of Earth, displayed as a small blue dot on the massive view screen. "This world will become part of Thraxian," he said, "and its people will kneel before their true ruler." With that, the fleet activated its engines and vanished into the void, leaving streaks of light across the blackness of space. Back on Earth, people had no idea what kind of being had sent the fleet. They saw the alien ships hovering but didn't understand the mind behind them, a ruler sitting millions of miles away, believing the conquest was already won. Inside his command chamber, the alien king observed everything through the fleet's eyes. The ships were not just machines. They were extensions of his own consciousness. He could see through them, hear through them, and even think through them. Every move they made reflected his will. To him, the Earth appeared small, fragile, and bright, a living jewel waiting to be taken. He admired its beauty in the same way a hunter admires the animal before the hunt. "They have courage," he murmured, watching humans gather their defenses. But courage without power is nothing. Meanwhile, on Earth, Dr. Amelia Vaughn and the leaders of the Earth Defense Accord continued to study the alien signals. Late one night, while scanning the data from a captured transmission, her team made a discovery. Hidden within the alien code was a repeating phrase, a title. It appeared again and again, translated roughly as Orval Cthulhu, King of the Royal Dominion, Lord of the Stars. For the first time, humanity had a name for the being behind the invasion. When Amelia shared her findings with world leaders, the room fell silent. The realization hit everyone the same way. They weren't dealing with mindless machines or a distant army. They were facing a conscious enemy, a ruler with purpose and pride. Amelia said quietly, "He doesn't just want our planet, he wants to rule us." The following weeks were filled with chaos and preparation. The alien ships continued to scan Earth's surface, sending mysterious beams of light down into the oceans and mountains. Scientists noticed that the beams seemed to be searching for energy sources, oil fields, nuclear reactors, power grids. "They're learning how we live," Amelia explained during a global broadcast. "And once they understand our weaknesses, they'll strike." Her words spread hope and fear at the same time. People realized the truth. The aliens might have technology far beyond human understanding, but they could still be studied, analyzed, and maybe even defeated all over the world. New inventions were being rushed into production. Engineers built electromagnetic shields, scientists developed satellite disruptors, and programmers created artificial intelligence systems to decode alien signals faster. Every country contributed what it could. For the first time in history, humanity was not divided by borders. Everyone was working toward one goal: survival. But far across the stars, the alien king saw all of this and smiled. He admired how humans were trying to fight back. To him, their unity was a beautiful but hopeless gesture, a candle against a storm. "They build walls of light and call them shields," he said to his generals. They think their fire can reach the sun. He turned toward his second-in-command, a tall, armored figure who stood silently beside him. When the time comes, strike not at their armies, but at their spirit. Break their will first, win, and their cities will fall without resistance. The general bowed deeply. As you command, my king. Days turned into nights, and the distance between the alien fleet and Earth grew smaller. The ships moved in perfect silence, their engines leaving ripples of energy behind them. Within their cold metal halls, alien soldiers prepared for battle, chanting in their strange language, ready to serve their ruler. They believed their mission was destiny. To them, the king was not just a leader. He was a god. But even gods can underestimate the will of humans. On Earth, as the countdown to conflict continued, Dr. Vaughn found herself standing alone outside the defense headquarters, looking up at the night sky. She could already see faint lights, the alien ships reflecting sunlight as they approached. For a moment, she thought about how far humanity had come. In just a few weeks, enemies had become allies, scientists had become soldiers, and fear had become strength. She whispered softly, "We're not perfect, but we're not helpless." Meanwhile, the alien king sent a final transmission to his fleet before the assault. His voice echoed through every ship, deep and commanding. "Children of Thraxion, the time has come. The world ahead is rich, full of life, and unclaimed. It will serve our empire. Do not fear their fire, for it is weak. Do not hesitate, for mercy is a burden of the small. Bring glory to your king." The alien soldiers responded with a roar that could be heard through the communication waves. Not a sound of rage, but of obedience. The king closed his eyes and felt the energy of the fleet flowing through his mind. To him, the battle had already been won. He whispered to himself, "By tomorrow, the blue world will bow." But in the depths of space, as the fleet crossed the final distance toward Earth, strange interference began to appear on their sensors. Their navigation systems flickered. Communication between ships grew unstable. The alien king frowned. "What is this disturbance?" Back on Earth, Amelia and her team were smiling for the first time in weeks. Their global defense network had just activated, a system that used high-frequency energy waves to scramble alien signals. "It's working," she said. "We can block their communication. If we can separate their ships from the command signal, they'll be blind." The plan was risky, but it gave humanity something it hadn't had since the invasion began: hope. The king watched as several of his smaller ships lost formation. He felt the connection weaken slightly, like a voice fading in a storm. For the first time, he sensed something unexpected: resistance. He stared at the glowing image of Earth before him, his eyes narrowing. "So," he murmured, "they dare to fight the king of the stars." A low smile crossed his face, cold and certain. "Then let them see what true power is." As the fleet approached the edge of Earth's atmosphere, humanity prepared for the first great battle of its history. On the ground, families held hands, soldiers stood ready, and scientists watched their screens, hearts pounding. Above them, in the endless sky, hundreds of glowing ships moved closer, like a storm of fire and light. No one knew how the next day would end, but everyone knew one thing: the fate of Earth would be decided not by gods or kings, but by the courage of those who refused to kneel. The night before, the battle felt different. Cities around the world were quiet, their lights dimmed to save power for the defense systems. The air carried a strange kind of silence, not peaceful but tense, as if the whole planet was holding its breath. People didn't sleep. Some stayed glued to their televisions waiting for updates. Others gathered in their homes, praying, hugging, or just staring at the stars, wondering if this would be their last night under the open sky. In the underground base of the Earth Defense Accord, scientists and soldiers worked side by side. Screens flickered with data, and radio chatter filled the air. The alien fleet was now fully visible in Earth's orbit. Hundreds of massive ships, glowing like silver ghosts against the dark sky. Dr. Amelia Vaughn stood at the main control panel, her eyes locked on the radar. Around her, technicians monitored power levels, coordinates, and weapon systems. Despite the fear in everyone's eyes, there was something new in their faces: determination. No one was thinking about winning anymore. They were thinking about surviving. At exactly midnight, the world's leaders spoke together in one final message, broadcast across every channel and every device. "This is the hour of unity," the message said. "We are one people, one planet, and tonight we defend our home." It was short but powerful. People in every country heard it and stood a little taller. Humanity had faced wars, disasters, and hunger before, but never something like this. Yet somehow this threat had done what nothing else could. It had united them. When the first alien lights appeared in the upper atmosphere, every defense system on Earth came alive. Satellites, ground bases, and space stations activated their shields and weapons. A network of energy grids known as Project Helios hummed across the skies, connecting continents with beams of blue light. It was the most advanced system ever built, a mix of human science and pure desperation. Amelia had helped design it. The idea was simple. Use solar energy collected from orbit to power enormous particle beams, creating a shield that could reflect or damage the alien fleet. It wasn't perfect, but it was all they had. As the system powered up, the ground began to vibrate. Giant towers along the coastlines glowed bright white, sending pulses of energy into the air. For a moment, the world lit up like a sunrise. Then the first alien ships began to descend. They came through the clouds in perfect formation, their hulls shining like mirrors. From the ground, they looked almost beautiful, enormous, smooth, and glowing with shifting patterns of light. But when they opened fire, beauty turned into fear. Bolts of energy hit the Earth's upper atmosphere, colliding with the Helios shield. The sky flashed with colors in blue, red, and gold as the shield absorbed the impact. For several seconds, nothing broke through. People watching from rooftops and shelters cheered, thinking maybe, just maybe, it was working. Inside the command base, Amelia looked at the readings. "The shield is holding," she said. "Power levels stable," but her relief lasted only a moment. The next wave of attacks was stronger. The shield began to flicker. Lights dimmed. Alarms went off. "Redirect energy from the backup grids," she shouted. "We can't lose the shield now." Technicians scrambled, rerouting power from unused sectors. The lights steadied, but Amelia could feel her heart pounding. The aliens were testing them, studying their limits just like she had predicted. Meanwhile, in the skies above, fighter jets and drones launched into battle. Thousands of pilots risked their lives even though they knew their weapons were weak compared to alien technology. Still they flew, dodging bright trails of light, trying to draw enemy fire away from cities. One by one, communication channels went silent. But new voices replaced them. Ordinary people volunteering, sending information, helping guide the defense systems. In one city, engineers used traffic cameras to track the alien ships. In another, fishermen used their boats' radar to detect movements over the ocean. Everyone was doing something, anything, to help. Humanity wasn't just fighting with weapons, they were fighting with heart. In the command room, Amelia received new data. The alien ships were focusing their attack on one spot, a weak point in the Helios grid near the Pacific Ocean. If that part failed, the entire defense system would collapse. General Nathan Cole, the military leader of the Defense Accord, turned to her. "Can we fix it?" Amelia scanned the numbers. "Not from here. We'll need a manual override at the Pacific Station." Cole nodded. "Then we'll send a team." He started to walk out, but Amelia stopped him. "You can't send anyone else. The override codes are locked to my clearance." The room fell silent. Everyone knew what that meant. If she went, she might not come back. Cole met her eyes. "Are you sure?" She took a deep breath. "If this planet falls, none of us are coming back." An hour later, Amelia boarded a small aircraft heading toward the Pacific. The sky outside glowed with streaks of light, the alien fleet firing above the clouds. The engines roared as the pilot pushed through turbulence caused by the ongoing battle. When they reached the station, the building was already shaking from the impact of the energy waves. Sparks flew, alarms blared, and the air smelled like ozone. Amelia ran to the control console, typing commands as fast as she could. "Come on, hold together," she whispered. Her screen showed the grid flickering, power levels dropping dangerously low. Then finally she found the cause. One of the main reactors had gone offline. She rerouted power from nearby satellites, reconnecting the energy flow. The shield brightened instantly, spreading a wave of light across the sky. From space, the alien fleet sensors detected the surge and paused their attack for the first time. Back at the main base, the radar showed something incredible. Several alien ships were falling out of formation. The energy interference from the Helios grid was affecting their navigation systems. "We did it," a technician shouted. "They're losing control." Amelia's voice came through the radio, calm but exhausted. "Don't celebrate yet. They'll adapt. We need to hit them while they're confused." Cole turned to his officers. "All units, focus fire on the disoriented ships. This is our chance." Around the world, missiles and energy cannons launched in perfect coordination. For the first time, human weapons actually hit their targets. Explosions of light filled the night sky. From the ground, people cheered. They didn't know the details. They just knew they had struck back. In orbit, the alien king felt the loss through his connection to the fleet. His expression hardened. "They resist," he murmured. "They have learned." He sent new commands, activating a massive weapon from his flagship, a beam that could pierce the atmosphere. His goal was simple: destroy the Helios grid completely. As the weapon charged, Amelia's sensors detected an enormous energy spike. She looked up at the sky through the station's windows, her heart sinking. "They're going to target the grid directly," she said. "If that beam fires, it's over." Back at the command center, Cole made a decision that no one expected. "Then we'll fire everything we have. All nations, all weapons. Aim at that flagship." It was a desperate move. But there was no other choice. Missiles, drones, and rail cannons from across the world turned toward the same target. The alien flagship glowed brighter, its weapon nearly ready. The world seemed to pause for a single heartbeat. Then the skies exploded. The combined human counterattack hit the flagship with full force. The shockwave lit up the atmosphere like a second sun. The alien beam fired too, but its aim faltered. Instead of striking the Helios core, it scattered across the upper atmosphere, causing a cascade of light. Everywhere on Earth, people saw it, a bright, shimmering wave that painted the night sky with colors no one had ever seen before. Amelia watched it from the station, tears filling her eyes. "We did it," she whispered. "We actually stopped them." The battle wasn't over yet, but for the first time the aliens were on the defensive. Their perfect formations had broken. Their communication was disrupted. And their leader, the King of the Stars, had realized that humanity was far stronger than he ever imagined. On his command bridge, the king stared at the damaged readings from his fleet. A voice from one of his generals said, "They fight harder than expected, my lord." The king replied quietly, "No, they fight like they have nothing left to lose. That makes them dangerous." He turned his gaze back toward the glowing blue planet below. "This is not over," he said. "Not yet." On Earth, as the fires in the sky slowly faded, people stepped out of shelters and looked up. They saw the shimmering remains of the alien ships drifting in the clouds. Some began to cry. Others simply stood in silence, knowing history had changed forever. Humanity had faced the most advanced empire in the galaxy, and survived the first attack. Amelia's voice came over the global broadcast. "This is not the end," she said. "But tonight we prove something important. We are not weak. We are not alone. We are one." The world erupted in applause and tears. In that moment, Earth was united not by fear, but by victory. The sky was quiet again, but it wasn't peace. It was the silence that comes after a storm. Fragments of light still drifted across the horizon, slowly fading into the dawn. The first major battle was over, and against all odds, Earth had survived. Every news channel, every radio, every message shared one simple word: victory. But deep down, everyone knew it was only temporary. Dr. Amelia Vaughn stood on the rooftop of the defense base, staring at the rising sun. Her face was tired, her hands trembling from exhaustion, but her eyes were still bright. She had seen what humans could do when they stood together. For the first time, she truly believed they had a chance. Yet she also knew something else. The alien king wouldn't give up that easily. He had lost part of his fleet, but not his pride. In the following days, people across the world began to rebuild. Power grids were restored, communication lines reconnected, and damaged cities started clearing their streets. There was laughter again, nervous but real. Children drew pictures of the glowing shield that had saved them. Farmers went back to their fields. Shops reopened. Musicians played songs about hope. For a brief moment, humanity tasted what unity felt like. But while people celebrated, scientists and defense teams stayed alert. They knew the aliens were still up there, watching, Amelia spent long hours in front of her screens, tracking every movement in orbit. One night, as she studied the radar, she noticed something unusual. The remaining alien ships weren't retreating. They were regrouping. Their formation was changing into a strange spiral pattern. She zoomed in and frowned. "They're not running away," she whispered. "They're preparing for something new." At the same time, far above Earth, the alien king sat alone on his throne inside the command vessel. Around him, glowing screens projected images of Earth's surface. Cities, mountains, oceans, all spinning beneath him like a jewel. He had underestimated this planet once. That mistake would not happen again. He turned toward his generals and said, "They are stronger than expected. Their spirit burns like fire, but fire can be smothered. Prepare the Dominion weapon." The generals bowed deeply. "At once, my king." The Dominion weapon was unlike anything Earth could imagine, a massive energy core capable of creating a gravitational storm. It was meant to break apart planetary defenses, tearing through shields and systems without destroying the planet itself. The king wanted Earth intact, its resources, its people, its energy, all for his empire. He didn't want to destroy humanity. He wanted to own it. Back on Earth, Amelia gathered the Global Council for an emergency meeting. The screen behind her showed the strange spiral formation of the alien fleet. "This isn't an attack pattern," she said. "It's a power formation. They're charging something big." General Cole leaned forward. "Can we stop it before it fires?" Amelia hesitated. "Maybe, but first we need to find its core ship, the one controlling the rest. If we take that out, the formation will collapse." It sounded simple, but everyone in the room knew it wouldn't be. The alien ships were still far beyond the reach of normal aircraft. The only chance was to use the new orbital drones, a fleet of unmanned crafts powered by the same energy that fueled Project Helios. Cole nodded. "Then we'll send everything we've got." The following morning, hundreds of drones launched into the upper atmosphere, their silver wings glinting in the sunlight. From the ground, they looked like a new constellation rising into the sky. Each one carried sensors and solar-charged weapons, designed not for destruction but for interference, to jam the alien network and break the king's control. Amelia monitored the operation from the control center. Her heart raced as the drones reached orbit. One by one, they began sending back images of the alien fleet. The sight was breathtaking. Enormous ships arranged like a spiral galaxy, spinning slowly with a bright light at the center. "That's the core," Amelia said softly. "If we can hit that, we can stop them." The command was given. The drones locked onto the center of the formation and fired a pulse of electromagnetic waves. The energy spread like ripples across a pond. For a few seconds, the alien formation flickered. Amelia's team watched in disbelief as several of the smaller ships lost coordination, spinning out of control. "It's working!" someone shouted. Amelia smiled for the first time in days, but her joy faded quickly when new readings appeared on the screen. The aliens were adapting, fast. Their ships began to realign, creating a secondary barrier around the core. The spiral formation glowed brighter than before. "They're absorbing the interference," Amelia said in disbelief. "They're using our own energy against us." High above, inside his command vessel, the alien king watched the flickering drones through his vision network. He admired their attempt, but to him it was nothing more than a child trying to block the sun with its hand. He spoke to his generals, his tone calm but sharp. "They learn quickly, but so do we." He placed his hand on the glowing control sphere beside his throne. "Begin the storm." From orbit, the alien core released a massive pulse of energy that spread across the atmosphere. It didn't explode. It twisted. The air shimmered and the sky turned strange shades of purple and green. Satellites went offline. Communication systems broke down again. On the ground, people felt the change instantly. Compasses stopped working. Radio signals went silent. Even birds flew in circles, confused by the magnetic waves. At the defense base, Amelia struggled to stabilize her systems. "They've created a gravity field," she said. "It's disrupting everything, and even the Helios grid." General Cole clenched his fists. "If that grid fails, Earth is defenseless." Amelia took a deep breath. "Then we don't let it fail." She and her team worked nonstop, rerouting the grid's energy through alternative channels. But the alien field kept growing stronger, spreading across the planet like a storm cloud. Just when it seemed all hope was lost, A message came from one of the orbital drone pilots. Though most drones were automated, a few were controlled manually by trained operators. The pilot's voice crackled through the static. "We found a weakness near the core. There's an opening, though small, but it's there." Amelia's eyes widened. "If we can hit that point, the field might collapse." Cole turned to his team. "Then do it. Every drone, every missile, aim for that weak spot." The command was sent. Across the sky, bright trails of light shot upward, merging into a single wave heading toward the center of the alien formation. The alien king felt the incoming surge before his sensors detected it. For the first time, he sensed something unusual, a pulse not of technology but of determination. He looked at the image of Earth on his screen, glowing like a fragile spark. "They won't stop," he murmured. "Even now they reach for victory." He almost sounded impressed. The attack hit the core. A flash of light filled space, brighter than any sunrise. The spiral formation trembled, its balance breaking. Ships collided as the gravitational field started to collapse in on itself. On Earth, the strange colors in the sky began to fade. The compasses returned to normal. Radios came back to life. In the command room, cheers erupted. Amelia stood in stunned silence, her hand over her mouth. They had done it. The alien storm had been stopped. But as the team celebrated, a new signal appeared on the radar, something massive moving closer. It was the King's flagship. Unlike the others, this ship didn't hide or hover. It descended straight toward Earth's orbit, larger than any structure humanity had ever seen. The air around it shimmered with energy, and a low hum echoed across the atmosphere. "He's coming himself," Amelia whispered. "The King." Inside his ship, the alien king gazed down at the blue planet. "They have earned my attention," he said quietly. "I will finish this with my own hands." His generals watched nervously as he activated his personal command system. The ship's wings unfolded like giant blades of light, and new energy patterns began to form, but this time, the humans were ready. Amelia turned to Cole. "If we can target his ship directly, maybe we can end this now. The Helios grid is stable again. If we combine all the remaining energy into one focused strike," Cole finished her sentence. "We can hit him with everything we've got." Amelia nodded. "It's risky. It could overload the system." Cole looked at her calmly. "Then we risk it. For Earth." All over the world, power plants, satellites, and defense towers aligned their systems to the Helios core. The entire planet was about to fire as one. The countdown began. Amelia stood at the main console, sweat on her forehead, her fingers trembling over the controls. 5, 4, 3. The alien flagship's weapons glowed, ready to strike. 2, 1, fire! A massive beam of golden light shot from the Helios grid, piercing the clouds and reaching space. It hit the alien flagship directly, surrounding it in a blinding aura. The shockwave spread across the sky like rippling sunlight. Every screen on Earth flashed white for a few seconds, then went dark. When the systems came back online, the radar showed something unbelievable. The alien flagship was no longer moving. It was damaged, its engines flickering. People everywhere erupted into cheers. They didn't know if the king had survived or not, but they knew something had changed. The impossible was happening. Humanity was turning the tide. Amelia sank into her chair, her eyes wet with relief. "We actually did it," she whispered. "We fought back." Cole stood beside her, looking out the window where the stars shimmered faintly. "This isn't the end," he said quietly, "but it's the beginning of..." The days following the last battle were tense. Humanity had survived the first major attack, had even damaged the flagship of the alien king, but no one dared to relax. Every radar, every telescope, and every satellite kept scanning the skies. Dr. Amelia Vaughn spent long hours in the command center. Her fingers hovered over the controls, her eyes scanning streams of data from orbit and ground stations. Something was different now. The alien fleet was in disarray. Ships that had once moved in perfect formations now drifted aimlessly. Communications were fragmented. For the first time, humanity had an advantage. The alien king watched it all from his flagship. His massive ship floated silently in orbit, its engines sputtering from the damage it had suffered. For the first time in his long rule, he felt something unfamiliar. Uncertainty. "How did they survive?" he asked, his voice a low metallic rumble that echoed through the bridge. His general stood silently, unused to their leader's doubt. "They are persistent, my king," one finally said. "Their resolve is unexpected." The king's gaze narrowed. "Unexpected? No, they are dangerous, and dangerous beings must be crushed completely. Prepare the royal corps for the final strike." Back on Earth, Amelia and her team analyzed the enemy's weak points. Using the data from the recent battles, they realized the king's flagship was the brain of the fleet. If it could be neutralized, the rest of the alien ships would lose coordination and collapse. Amelia addressed the global command network. "We found a way to finish this. If we can hit the flagship with a full strike from the Helios grid and focus all satellite-based weapons on it, we can take it down. We can end the invasion." The room fell silent. Everyone understood the risk. The Helios grid had been pushed to its limit in the last battle. One miscalculation could damage Earth's own systems. General Cole stepped forward. "Sometimes survival means taking the biggest risk. We have one chance. Let's make it count." Teams across the globe began coordinating. Power plants, satellite arrays, energy towers, and defense drones all worked in perfect harmony. Scientists calculated trajectories. Engineers stabilized energy flows, and operators ran simulations to ensure the strike would hit its mark. The world, divided for centuries by language, politics, and culture, now acted as one organism. Every person knew their planet's fate depended on their work. High above, the alien king felt the surge of energy building from Earth. His sensors detected the preparations, and for the first time he felt a flicker of unease. The humans had adapted, organized, and coordinated in ways he had never anticipated. "They are clever," he admitted quietly, "but cleverness alone cannot save them." He activated the final weapon systems aboard his flagship. Energy coils hummed, shields strengthened, and a massive glow surrounded the ship. He prepared to unleash a strike that could cripple Earth's defenses entirely. Meanwhile, Amelia and her team watched the flagship's power readings. "It's about to fire," she said, her voice steady despite her racing heart. "If we don't act now, the grid could collapse." She typed rapidly, rerouting energy from all available sources into a single, focused beam aimed at the flagship. Satellites above Earth aligned perfectly, their targeting systems calibrated to split-second accuracy. Every weapon, every energy pulse, every drone was synchronized. For a moment, everything felt still. The world seemed to hold its breath. Then the strike began. A golden beam of concentrated energy shot from Earth toward the flagship, piercing the clouds and cutting through the darkness of space. Amelia's team monitored the feedback, watching the alien ship's shield strain under the combined force. The king watched, his eyes narrowing. He activated countermeasures, sending waves of energy to disperse the attack. The flagship rocked slightly, its engines straining, but the humans' strike held. For hours, the energy waves collided, a battle of wills more than weapons. Earth had given everything, and the alien king had countered with all of his power. Gradually, the balance began to shift. The king's shield started to falter, unable to withstand the precise coordination of human technology and ingenuity. A crack appeared in the core of the flagship, glowing bright against the dark metal. Amelia's heart pounded. "We're breaking through." "Keep it steady." Every operator worked tirelessly, adjusting, recalculating, and maintaining the beam's focus. It was delicate work. A single mistake could fail the mission. But the world's combined effort held strong. Inside the flagship, the king could feel the disruption spreading. His connection to the fleet faltered. Ships that had remained loyal, moving only at his command, began spinning out of formation. Sensors went offline. The energy storm he had created was no longer under his control. "This cannot be," he shouted. They cannot!" But deep down, even he knew the truth. Humanity had not only survived, they had fought back with courage, unity, and intelligence that matched his own empire's strength. The final moment came slowly, like the breaking of a wave. The core of the flagship exploded in a dazzling light, sending ripples of energy across the fleet. The remaining alien ships faltered, drifting aimlessly, their connections severed. The king's voice, once commanding, now sounded small as the systems aboard his ship failed one by one. He looked down at Earth glowing below him. He realized that the humans he had once dismissed as weak and insignificant were not only alive but victorious. On Earth, Amelia and her team cheered as the radar confirmed the flagship's fall. The remaining alien ships were powerless, unable to regroup. Across the planet, celebrations erupted, not of mindless joy but of relief, pride, and hope. Humanity had survived the impossible. Cole looked at Amelia, a small smile on his face. "They underestimated us," he said quietly. Amelia nodded. "Not anymore. Not ever." For the first time, the alien king felt fear, or perhaps the closest thing his kind could feel to it. He had ruled countless worlds and faced many civilizations, but never had he encountered a species that could challenge him so fiercely. As he stared at the blue planet, he whispered, "They are strong, stronger than I imagined." His ship, crippled and powerless, drifted silently in orbit. The king's dream of conquest had ended. His fleet lay in ruins. His authority was broken. On Earth, the night sky remained clear, though the aftermath of the battle was still visible. Flashes of light from the collapsing alien ships lit the horizon. People stepped outside, gazing upward, marveling at the sight. Children laughed, parents hugged, and communities came together in celebration. For the first time, humanity felt the full weight of victory. Not just survival, but triumph against overwhelming odds. Amelia watched the skies, her heart swelling with relief and pride. "We did it," she whispered softly. "We actually did it." In the days that followed, the world worked tirelessly to repair the damage caused by the alien assault. Energy grids were stabilized. Cities were rebuilt. Scientists studied the remnants of alien technology, eager to learn from it, to understand it, and to ensure Earth would never be unprepared again. Across the planet, one thought united everyone: humanity could survive. Humanity could endure. Humanity could thrive. High above, the alien king remained in his crippled ship, staring at the planet he had failed to conquer. For the first time in millennia, he experienced what humans called humility. "They fight with everything they have," he said quietly, "and that makes them dangerous." Though defeated, he still lived. Though his empire was crippled, he still breathed. But he would never forget the blue world below, the planet that had defied him, the species that had refused to bow. Earth had won the battle. Humanity had proven its strength, and the story was far from over. The world was quiet, but it was a quiet unlike any other. It was not fear nor tension, but a sense of relief mixed with cautious hope. Humanity had survived the greatest threat it had ever faced. The alien king's fleet had been defeated, the flagship destroyed, and the invaders forced to retreat. For the first time in generations, people looked at the sky without fear. The stars seemed brighter, more alive. Children pointed upward, imagining what lay beyond, but this time without dread. Dr. Amelia Vaughn walked through the streets of her city, observing the rebuilding efforts. The damage from the battles was clear. Buildings had been struck, power lines disrupted, and cities were partially in ruins. But the human spirit was stronger than any debris. Volunteers worked tirelessly, clearing rubble and helping neighbors. Engineers repaired the energy grids. Scientists and technicians tested and improved Project Helios, ensuring that if another threat appeared, Earth would be ready. Everywhere Amelia looked, she saw unity. People were no longer separated by borders, politics, or differences. The alien invasion had reminded them of a simple truth: humanity survived together, or it did not survive at all. World leaders held an unprecedented summit to discuss Earth's future. The message was clear: humanity could never ignore the stars again. Defense systems, space observation, and global communication networks would be strengthened. International cooperation became more than just a goal. It became a necessity. Amelia spoke at the summit, her voice steady and calm. "We faced the impossible, and we survived. This planet belongs to all of us, and all of us must protect it. Today, we are stronger because we chose to act as one." Her words echoed across nations, inspiring hope and courage. Meanwhile, across the oceans and continents, people shared stories of bravery. Pilots who had flown into the alien fleet, engineers who had rerouted the Helios grid at the last second, ordinary citizens who had volunteered to track alien movement and guide defense operations. Every story reminded humanity of one thing: survival was not about power alone, but about courage, unity, and determination. Amelia herself had been hailed as a hero, but she refused the praise. "This wasn't about me," she told reporters. "It was about everyone. Every person who did their part. Humanity did this together." Even nature seemed to celebrate the victory. Birds returned to their usual flight paths, seas calmed, and the skies cleared. After days of strange energy storms caused by the alien fleet, the weather normalized. Sunlight warmed the earth once again as if the planet itself was breathing a sigh of relief. People planted trees, repaired farmland, and restored habitats. The invasion had been a threat, but it had also reminded them of the beauty and fragility of the world they lived in. The alien remnants in orbit slowly drifted away, powerless and confused. The ships that remained had lost coordination, their systems disabled by the humans' counterattack. The alien king himself, although still alive, was trapped aboard his crippled flagship, unable to return to his empire. Scientists monitored the signals coming from the remnants, learning what they could. Even in defeat, the Thraxian technology offered insights that would shape humanity's future. Energy systems, propulsion methods, and communication networks became the foundation for a new era of human innovation. But the most important lesson was not technology. It was courage. Humanity had faced a ruler who believed in absolute power, a civilization that had conquered countless worlds. And yet, ordinary humans had stood together, united by their will to survive. Amelia visited schools, telling the next generation about the battles. She didn't speak of destruction or fear. She spoke of teamwork, intelligence, and bravery. You may look up at the stars one day, she told the children, and see challenges that seem impossible. But remember this: if we can survive what we just did, there is no limit to what you can face. The children listened with wide eyes, inspired. For the first time, the stars were not frightening. They were full of possibility. In cities and towns, memorials were built, not just for those who had fought, but for the spirit of humanity itself. People remembered how fear had been transformed into hope, panic into courage, and chaos into cooperation. Communities that had been divided for years now shared a bond forged in survival. People who had never spoken before became friends. Entire nations realized that they were stronger when they worked together. It was a lesson that would last for generations. The alien king, trapped aboard his damaged flagship, watched Earth one last time. For centuries, he had believed that conquest was inevitable. He had believed that strength and power alone would command loyalty and fear. But humanity had shown him something he had never expected. Intelligence, courage, and unity could overcome even the greatest power. For the first time, he felt respect, a grudging acknowledgement that this species, fragile yet determined, had bested him. He spoke quietly to himself. Perhaps this world is worthy of life, even if it defies me. Then he retreated into the depths of space, leaving Earth untouched and free. Back on Earth, life gradually returned to normal, but it was a new normal. Humanity had learned that the stars were not just a place of wonder, but also a place of responsibility. Defense systems and satellites remained operational, but people also returned to schools, factories, farms, and offices, determined to rebuild. New technologies emerged from the study of alien systems, but they were used to improve life, not to wage war. Space exploration became a shared goal, not just for science, but for ensuring humanity's safety and unity. Amelia continued to work tirelessly, overseeing research and teaching others. Her focus was not just survival, but progress. Humanity had been given a second chance, and she would make sure it was not wasted. Years later, the story of the invasion became legend. Books were written, films were made, and every schoolchild learned of the night humanity refused to bow. People remembered the fear, yes, but also the courage. They remembered the moment when ordinary humans did extraordinary things. When the Helios grid, drones, satellites, and brave minds worked together to protect the world. And every time someone looked up at the night sky, they did so with wonder, not fear. The stars had once brought danger, but now they brought inspiration. Humanity had survived the greatest threat it had ever faced. But more importantly, it had learned a vital truth. The strength of a species was not measured by its weapons, but by its will, its unity, and its courage. The alien king's dream of conquest had ended. Earth had survived, and the people who had once been divided were now forever connected, bound by the experience of fighting for life itself. Amelia looked up at the sky one last time that evening. the wind soft against her face. She smiled, knowing that humanity's future was brighter than ever. "Whatever comes next," she whispered, "we will face it together." And the stars seemed to shine a little brighter, as if agreeing.